California senators reach an agreement on the net neutrality bill. So guys, I read about this yesterday. So a quick rehash. The net neutrality bill, Scott Wiener wrote a great net neutrality bill, senator in San Francisco. And it was a good one. And, just for those of you that are familiar with him, I can say that I don't agree with Scott Wiener on everything. We definitely have our differences in opinion. But this is one thing where we're on the same page. So he wrote a great net neutrality bill. Miguel Santiago in Los Angeles, an assemblyman in Los Angeles, who received a lot of money from AT&T, gutted that bill. And the bill went through. And people were very outraged by it. There was a billboard erected calling for Santiago to step down. There was a lot of public outcry, and the hope was that they would meet and they would fix the bill. Well, it looks like they did meet and they did fix the bill. This is out of Sacramento. On Thursday, they've reached an agreement on legislation to enshrine net neutrality provisions in state law after the FCC dumped the rules. Okay, so Santiago came under fire from net neutrality advocates around the country when the Assembly Committee he leads stripped key provisions from the legislation, a decision that drew rebukes from members of Congress, including Nancy Pelosi. Santiago became the subject of online memes and a flood of calls to his office accusing the Los Angeles lawmaker of selling out to internet providers, citing his contributions from AT&T. Now, here's something I want to highlight, and I'm actually literally going to highlight for you guys. Internet companies say it's not practical for them to comply with state-by-state internet regulations and warn that Wiener's bill would discourage the rollout of new technology in California. Okay, let me translate that bullshit corporate speak. What that is code for is if you guys pass state net neutrality laws, especially a state like California, you're going to screw over our plans to further price gouge the internet, to establish fast lanes and slow lanes, to establish packages where you need to pay more money for certain websites. You're going to screw over our plans to unroll those packages because there's going to be a huge customer base that we don't have access to price gouge. And it's going to be too hard to establish something state by state, so you're going to screw us. That's really what this is code for. From the ISPs, the internet service providers. It's not practical for us to comply with state-by-state regulations. No, you don't want to because you know it's going to strip away your profit motives. If California gets strong net neutrality protections and New York gets strong net neutrality protections, it's over. They're not going to be able to do it across the country. That's why what's going on here in California does apply to you even if you don't live here. It applies to you too. And it's worth following for you too if you're concerned about the net neutrality issue. Which, if you're watching the show and you enjoy it, you should be concerned about the net neutrality issue. Because if we lose net neutrality, and I know technically we've already lost it, but because of what's been going on, because there's been a fight back, you haven't seen any results of losing it yet. And hopefully you never will. But if we do completely lose net neutrality, shows like this are going to be over. And even shows bigger than this one. Alright, so here's what's going on. Wiener said that the key provisions removed from his bill were restored. One will require data to be treated equally at the point where it enters an internet company's network, not just within the company's own infrastructure. So basically, you have to treat all internet traffic the same as the net neutrality protections we had prior. The other bans a practice known as zero rating, in which internet or cell phone providers exempt certain data from a monthly cap. Critics of the practice say zero rating encourages low monthly data caps and cuts off vast swaths of the internet for people who can't afford higher data allotments. Guys, that's bullshit. What zero rating actually does is it favors certain video providers over others, and it is not a good practice. It doesn't really help the consumer out. It helps the ISP out and the video people that they have contracts with. And not banning it would lead to a significant slippery slope where certain content providers would be completely ousted, whereas others would thrive. So don't fall for that. And the fact that we have that ban here in California makes our net neutrality protections even stronger than what we had prior. He declined to release the new bill language until lawmakers return in August from a summer break. And August 31st is when we would see some of the results of this. If it goes through, that's when they will hopefully go ahead and pass this thing. So that's what's going on in California. And again, this is a good thing. This is definitely a positive thing. Hopefully, the bill has been restored. Hopefully, it goes through. Now, do I still favor nationwide municipal broadband? Abso-freaking-lutely. Because if we don't get nationwide municipal broadband, meaning the internet goes into the public's hands instead of in the hands of corporate interests, which is what we should have done in the first place, by the way. Countries that have faster internet than we do, that's why they have it. Because they put the internet in the public's hands in the first place. They didn't let corporate interest gouge their internet. So they have better internet than we do. Countries that did something similar to us, like Australia, they deal with the same nonsense we do. So, if we don't get nationwide municipal broadband, we're going to keep having this fight every couple years. We had it in 2015. We're having it now in 2018. We'll have it again in 2020, 2021. And who knows, maybe if there was a Democrat in office, people would be a little more groggy. They wouldn't be paying as much attention. I don't know for sure, because you know what? I'll say this. Obama was in office and people were awake when it came to net neutrality. People screamed at the rafters when it came to net neutrality. And they forced Obama to do the right thing. You think if Tom Wheeler and Obama were just left up to their own devices and there was no public outcry, do you really think they would have done anything to save net neutrality? Let me tell you, no, they wouldn't have. Tom Wheeler was a cable lobbyist. Barack Obama didn't care. We would have lost net neutrality. If the public wasn't awake the first time, we would have lost net neutrality. If the public wasn't awake this time, we would have really lost it. Because we technically did lose it anyway. But we're fighting to get it back. And it looks like we're making some good grounds. But let's not forget, we've had some unlikely allies in this fight. Big tech is on our side on this one. Netflix, Google, etc., even Facebook, they're on the same side when it comes to net neutrality. Now, they're on our side because it benefits their business interests. Not because they want a free and open internet or they care about that. They don't care. Net neutrality benefits their business model. So again, we're unlikely allies in this fight. Politics makes strange bedfellows. Silicon Valley is a strange bedfellow in this net neutrality fight. So let's say in a couple years, we don't have that strange bedfellow. Let's say that the ISPs really cover their bases and they maybe work out a deal or a quid pro quo with these strange bedfellows that we have. Well then, guess what? There's a good chance we're going to lose it. Because there's a good chance we wouldn't have a lot of these Democrats pushing through this legislation if we didn't have some heavyweights on our side. Does that suck? Yeah, it sucks. But it's reality. So I don't want to have to rely on big tech giants every couple years to be on my team for net neutrality so we don't lose it completely. I don't want to keep doing this every couple years. How do we avoid doing this every couple years? We get nationwide municipal broadband. That's the only way. I'm fighting for that in my community here in Pasadena. I'm going to continue to. And I'm going to kind of use this legislation as leverage. Look, this just shows us how much the public supports net neutrality and how much we want a free and open internet. Let's lead the way and go a step further and put it in the public's hands. I'm going to go to a city hall soon, maybe even Monday, and try to fight for this once again. So let's see what you guys are saying in the chat in response to this. TrumpNet, that's a callback. We talked about if we call it TrumpNet, would he give us nationwide municipal broadband? Celeste, bongs for peace. Amen, Celeste. Balthazar, you mean slow lanes and slower lanes? South Korea has state-funded 4 gigabytes per second to all. ISPs can barely do 500 gigabytes per second. We also need municipal cellular and municipal and mobile data. You're absolutely right. We do have slower internet here than a lot of other places, South Korea being one of them. And who has the fastest internet in the country here in the United States? Chattanooga, Tennessee. What does Chattanooga, Tennessee have? Municipal broadband. Citywide. That's what they have. Sandy, Oregon, same thing. Longmont, Colorado, same thing. Fort Collins, Colorado. These are all cool towns, but do they have some gold ticket that other towns in the country can't do? No, they don't. It's an attainable feat. And, you know, in Pasadena where I live, when they gave us this BS story based on one comparison on how we couldn't afford it, it was nothing short of nonsense. Nothing short of nonsense. All right. So, thank you for that. You guys know this is an issue that I feel very passionately about, that I like talking about a lot. I hope you guys I hope you guys don't get tired of hearing me talk about it. Because I know, but sometimes it's like you got to rehash these ideas, because that's this is the only way we're going to get through, you know? Hey guys, thanks for watching. That was a clip from Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means I log on to a stream and people tweet me articles over on Twitter at Ron Placone, or they use our Reddit subsection, which is just Get Your News On with Ron over on Reddit. And that's how we build the show. I'm seeing all these articles for the first time. We are literally getting our news on together. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone so you can participate. And this show streams live every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please do tune in. If you want to support this show, you can do so over on patreon.com/Ron Placone, where for as low as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts every week, exclusive videos, free tickets to shows when I'm performing in your town, and more for as low as $1 a month. Please do consider it. Thank you so much for your support. This has been Get Your News On with Ron.